Welcome to the Grassman Chronicles bonus Scotland episode. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the big gray man that is said to roam the summit and passes of Ben Macdui, from the Gaelic meaning Macduff's Mountain. At a height of 1,309 meters, or 4,296 feet, Ben Macdui is the highest peak in the Cairngorms and the second highest peak in Scotland, the highest peak of the Cairngorms and the second highest peak in the British Isles after the Ben Nevis. It is located in the Cairngorms National Park, and the mountain we are talking about is marked with the red circle there in the middle. The Ben Macdui is not for the amateur. An example of what one might face in an instant comes from a news report in 2015 that detailed the conditions on Ben Macdui when two walkers were rescued from the UK's second highest mountain after getting into difficulties in atrocious conditions. Rescue team members led the pair to safety as 100-mile-per-hour winds in blizzard conditions battered Ben Macdui. The walkers called for help after getting soaked during a walk on the Cairngorms Plateau. A Royal Navy Sea King helicopter flew to the site and airlifted the men, who were in their 20s, from the hillside after members of Cairngorm Mountain Rescue Team found them and accompanied them partway down the 1,309-meter mountain. Team leader Willie Anderson praised the helicopter's crew's flying as amazing. Mr. Anderson said the men were lucky. He added their chances of survival on the mountain overnight would have been very slim. The Highland mountain ranges of Scotland are wild and magnificent places that attract many visitors, but their slopes are for experienced climbers and hikers, not to be taken lightly, and they also have a darker side that has terrified many people. Mountaineers are certain that this region harbors a humanoid entity known locally as Amphir Luiu Moor, Gaelic for the big gray man, described as being large in size, gray in color, and fearsome in appearance. The legends tell of these beings stalking anyone who trespassed into their territory. Actual sightings of the big gray man have been rare, but eyewitnesses' descriptions of its appearance describe it as an ape-like creature, about 10 feet tall, covered in hair, and with very long arms. Although there have been many purported encounters with the big gray man, few eyewitnesses have actually seen the creature. Most often, the creature remains unseen in the fog of the mountains, with encounters limited to the sound of crunching gravel as it walks behind climbers, and a general feeling of unease around the mountain. Tangible evidence of its existence is limited to a few photographs of unusual footprints, so the majority relies on the credibility of eyewitness encounters. The poet James Hogg documented an encounter on Ben Macdui as far back as 1791, describing a giant blackamoon at least 30 feet high and equally proportioned, and very near me. I was actually struck powerless with astonishment and terror, he said. Hogg's terror subsided when he observed the figure making the same gestures as his own, realizing it was merely his own shadow. British mountaineer Frank Smythe stated that he observed his shadow cast as a broken specter across the mist on the Ben Macdui as well. In 1925, J. Norman Collie gave the first recorded account of a gray man encounter. A noted hiker, professor, and member of the Royal Geographic Society, Norman became one of the leading scientists in the country, eventually becoming a professor of organic chemistry. Among his many scientific achievements were the development of the neon lamp and the use of X-ray photography in medicine. Despite his status as an eminent scientist, Norman was intrigued by the mysteries of Celtic folklore and the supernatural. He was convinced that the Loch Ness Monster existed and often spoke of his personal encounter with the big gray man of Ben Macdui. On Cairngorm in 1891, according to the story, Norman was alone and descending from the summit in mist and snow when he became aware of somebody or something walking behind him. Every 3 or 4 steps Norman took, the thing behind him just took one. When Norman came to a halt, so too did the thing. He was so unsettled that he went back to Ben Macdui's summit, but the steps just kept following him. Terrified, Norman ran 5 miles downhill until he was safely off the mountain. In 1929, Norman retired and spent the majority of his time on the Isle of Skye in the mountains he so loved. Norman died on the island in 1942 at the end of what was an extraordinary life. He is buried alongside his lifelong climbing partner, John Mackenzie, on the Isle of Skye beneath the Cullen Mountains. Another climber, Hugh D. Welsh, said that he hiked the summit with his brother in 1904, where throughout the day and night they heard slurring footsteps, as if someone was walking through water-saturated gravel. Both felt frequently conscious of something near them and an eerie sense of apprehension. In 1945, Pete Densham was participating in rescue work in the Cairngorm Mountains during World War II. One day he reported hearing strange noises out of a mist closing in on his location and an increasing pressure around his neck. He fled before seeing anything concrete. A friend of his, climber Richard Freer, wrote that his sense of a presence, utterly abstract but intensely real, on the mountain, and heard an intensely high singing note. A few years later, in 1948, Freer was also presented the encounter of another mutual friend who wished to remain anonymous. While he camped on Ben Macdui, he reported waking up feeling an inescapable feeling of dread, and looking out of his tent, he could see a large figure with dark hair standing in front of the moon in silhouette. In 1958, naturalist and mountaineer Alexander Tunion published an article in the Scots magazine about an encounter with the gray man in 1943. He tells, "I spent a 10-day leave climbing alone in the Cairngorms. One afternoon, just as I reached the summit of Ben McDewey, mist swirled across the layering Gru and enveloped the mountain. The atmosphere became dark and oppressive. A fierce, bitter wind whisked among the boulders, and an odd sound echoed through the mist. A loud footstep, it seemed, then another, and another. A strange shape loomed up, receded, then came charging at me. Without hesitation, I whipped out my revolver and fired 3 times at the figure. When it still came on, I turned and hurried down the path, reaching Glenderry in a time that I have never bettered. Again, he skedaddled. You may ask, was it really the big gray man? Frankly, he thought it was. No photographs of the big gray man have ever been taken. Photographer John A. Rennie supposedly found a series of footprints in Spey Valley, measuring 19 inches, 48 centimeters long, and 14 inches, 36 centimeters wide. These were published in a book, but he later discovered they were a natural phenomenon caused by rainfall and eroding the snow. Or is there? A dog walker has apparently spotted a Bigfoot-like sinister figure in Scotland. Community counselor Gary McTeague took a fuzzy and rather dubious photograph of the figure, already dubbed the North Muirton Sasquatch, the Courier County, UK reported. He said, "My dog is usually quite timid, but it started going mental." He said after posting a picture on Facebook, he said after posting the picture on Facebook, "I managed to grab a quick snap on my phone before it ran off. Has anyone else seen this or know what it is?" And he said, I quote, "I was crapping myself, but managed to grab a quick snap on my phone." In the early 1990s, a group of 3 men walked along a forestry plantation track in the countryside close to Aberdeen when one saw ahead a dark-shaped human figure which ran from the left of the track about 200 yards ahead. He felt a sense of terror and foreboding. His friends had not seen the creature, but when they looked ahead, they saw a face looking at them from between the branches. A face which was human, but not human. One of the men threw a stone, and it disappeared into the trees. They were kind of confused, I think. Probably scared like all the rest of them. A few weeks after the encounter, the same trio were driving towards Torrance near Aberdeen when their car was pursued by the very same type of creature. They reported this dark, tall being running alongside their car as they drove at close to 45 miles an hour. Eventually, it gave up the chase and simply stood in the middle of the road and peered after the car. A female friend of one of the men later told him that while she had been staying in a cottage in the countryside near there, she had seen a dark, hairy figure standing just inside the tree line nearby, watching the building on 2 occasions. After a while, it would move off into the undergrowth. Strange creatures are not the only reported things people have experienced while on the mountain or in the surrounding area. Other people have reported being in the area and suddenly overwhelmed by either a feeling of utter panic or a downward turning of their thoughts, which has made them incredibly depressed. Some have been reportedly drawn as if hypnotized to the edge of dangerous ledges, while others have believed to have been chased to their deaths in their desperation to escape over the edge of the cliff known as Lurch's Crag. There have been even more reports that ghostly music and laughter could be heard wafting across the shadowy slopes, and many accounts of heavy footsteps, like those heard by Callie, have been documented. Possible reasons given for the sightings on Ben Macdui include illusions, hallucinations, or misinterpretation of natural stimulus brought on by exhaustion, oxygen starvation, and or isolation have been proposed by psychologists. Infrasound, which can be generated by wind, can cause feelings of uneasiness and anxiety and is possibly connected to paranormal sightings. Optical illusions, known as the broken specter, are a plausible explanation for some visual elements of the big gray man sightings. A broken specter or mountain specter can occur in certain atmospheric conditions when the sun is at a particular angle. The subject's shadow can be cast onto a cloud bank behind them, creating the illusion of a large, shadowy humanoid figure. What is the big gray man? Excuse me, I think I got ahead of myself. What is the big gray man? What are people seeing on Ben Macdui? Is there a creature capable of living on the mountain? Is it a relative of the Grassman? Could there be a large ape-like creature roaming Ben Macdui and chasing possible hunters away from the deer? Are some folks predisposed to seeing the big gray man in the mist, in the clouds, in the snow, and hearing and feeling it in the wind? Is Ben Macdui similar to other mountains people climb and hike? Because it is difficult and wrought with many natural hazards that push the human spirit to overcome them. There we go. It seems to me that similar experiences are had by climbers of these dangerous peaks, no matter where in the world, because of exactly why they seek out these summits, to reach and plant their flags on, pushing the limits of what a human being can overcome. The stress, strain, exhaustion, and all the tricks that can be played on the eyes and ears in difficult, windy, stormy, cold, and overall extreme conditions. Or maybe there is a big gray man, a cousin of the Grassman and the Sasquatch, a Bigfoot that lives on, if nowhere else, in the legends and lores surrounding these summits by those pushing themselves to extremes. And they will probably continue to be seen, stories told about them, as long as folks continue to climb, hike, and enjoy conquering summits of all sizes and shapes and levels of experience needed around the globe. And in many cases, in the most extreme conditions that test their abilities to survive. For that very reason is why they go to these places. What do you think? Is there a big gray man on Ben Macdui? Is there some creature that maybe is just unknown running around on the mountain? Or is it a combination of stress, exhaustion, oxygen starvation, extreme conditions, and playing tricks on the senses? What do you think? I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode. I apologize for the interruption during our regularly scheduled program the other day. There was some unforeseen difficulties. The power went out. My neighbor was injured. He was working on his tower, and it touched the big line out back, not the little line going to the house. He crossed on the big line running out back. His son got burned and injured, pulling him away and free, and he's in the hospital. However, he spoke to his son today on the phone. He doesn't remember anything. He doesn't even know why he's in the hospital. But he is alive, and hoping all the best. I do like the guy. I have helped him work on his tower before. However, I would appreciate it if he wouldn't knock out the power and try to electrocute himself while I'm trying to do my show. Okay, Dave? But please get well. All my best, and I'm sure everybody in the audience wishes you all the best too. And speaking of, thank you. I see a lot of faces in the audience. The names that I know: Jasper, AR, Jason, Pragmatic, to look at the trees. I hope everything went well at Loch Ness, and looking forward to hearing your report when you return. And let's see, did I miss anybody? Did I say Jasper? Let me roll back here. Let's see. Yeah, everybody's saying hello. Appreciate everybody being here. Yeah, Jason, last time we did have an incident, and it was definitely a buzzkill, but I came back later and finished the show, and we've been checking on the neighbor regularly, and so far so good. So I hope he learned a lesson, and that won't be a problem again during a Grassman episode. And yes, I have my hat. In case you didn't notice, I got my hat. I figured better put it on again since we're still doing Scotland, and it's probably winter time maybe before I can wear it again. So it's a little bit warm under there right now, but maybe a little sweat on my lip. No, I'm doing okay. All right, no perspiration. All right. The little gray men, you never know. A lot of supernatural claims are also claimed to be interdimensional, and aliens travel interdimensional. So AR, they're usually connected depending on what circles, what group is involved. But most of the time, everything's interdimensional, so anything is possible. Some frost troll. Sorry about that one. I really blew it. That's a tongue twister. Frost troll vibes, indeed. Yes. I'm fairly a more big gray man. Sorry, my Gaelic is terrible, but a lot of the names in the area for places all come from old Gaelic words. So there's a lot of crossovers. So I prefer the English versions. They're a lot easier to say. And Trees, always good to hear from you. I'm glad Nessie didn't get you. I I I I assume you're alive and well, and not in Nessie's belly, or you wouldn't be saying hi. So that's good. And everybody's saying hello. In the airplane mode. Pragmatic's got some wildfires at two of the family members' back doors, getting close to me. Be safe. Get the heck out of Dodge. Everything else could be replaced, man. Ladies, gentlemen, um, LGBTQ, aliens, Sasquatch, um, skunk ape, um, Mothman. We can go down the list, but if you're listening, get out of Dodge, okay? Don't mess with the fire, all right? Um, it's not worth it. Be safe, everybody. And yeah, I heard the hurricane is coming up too. Everybody in that area too, you know what to do. Make sure you do it, okay? I want to see y'all next month at the next show, and see you around the chat, okay? Please take care of yourselves. Yeah, I got a good chuckle out of him crapping himself. Trees and I have mentioned it before that a lot of these areas is bear country. Some of these areas can have big cats and other large predators, and know what you're getting into. Be prepared. Follow the appropriate precautions, whether it's to make noise or different things to hopefully spook them off. You have your bear spray if it's allowed. Uh, Maybe a sidearm if it's allowed. Whatever's generally the accepted precautions. Always take them in these areas, because whether it's a grassman or a mothman or a uh, bear or a cat or even just a ticked off moose or something, just don't mess with them. Okay, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. Let's see. Everybody's saying hi, hello, and hi, hello back to everybody. If I ever come across something like that on Mount Washington, I promise I will get better pics. All right, we're going to hold you to that. Appreciate it, Jason. Trees says, all squatchings radiate out from Ohio. Therefore, they all are evolved from Grassman. Prove me wrong. Good point. All hail Grassman. And pragmatic, named after the German mountain on which it was first noted. A broken specter is a large shadow of an observer cast onto cloud or mist. And again, when you're tired, you don't sleep well when you're climbing and whatnot. You get little sleep. You're totally exhausted. You're pushing yourself to the limits, and all the other extremes that come into play. And then on top of it, you're having a natural occurrence messing with your tired eyes and your tired brain on top of it. And I do not doubt people see things. Yeah, just don't mess with the wildfires. Pragmatic. Get out. It's Tusk roaming the Highlands looking for his whiskey. Scotland is famous for its whiskey as well. Yeah, I understand he got burned, but even getting hit with the high voltage, his pacemaker kept going. So the technology, I think, is kept him good, because if that would have shorted out, I don't think it would have been so good. But hopefully, it looks like he just got burned right down his side, from his ear right down into his chest here. Where he was holding whatever it was, and it just hit him right there in his upper body when it arced across. And Top Dog, hello. Jay, hello. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Have I ever seen Harry and the Hendersons? Yes, I have. It's one of my favorite movies. I love Harry and the Hendersons, and I have an alter ego on a social media page. I'm not going to give myself up for having a sock account, but if you know which one it is, I am Harry Henderson on there. So, yes. Yep. Trees, that's a classic. It is. I love that movie. He was the cutest Bigfoot. Yep, he had that smile, that endearing smile, and yeah, it was really great. And the sad face was really good too, with the trophy room and everything. And Gurr, hello Gurr, appreciate you stopping by. Always good to see you. Gurr says we're all a good trip. Even at 3,000 feet, there is a 10% drop in barometric pressure, and therefore a 10% drop in the number of oxygen molecules for each breath you take. Right. I was trying to research and look around about carrying oxygen. I didn't really see anything, but any elevation is going to affect you. So again, some of these areas, they're for experienced people, and if you're not that experienced, there's always guide groups and tours and everything else. You know, go with them until you learn better, okay? Because again, we want you to come back. All right. Yeah, you won't be able to smoke up on the mountaintop there. I don't think. You probably wouldn't be able to draw the air, anyways. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody. I just wanted to keep this short and kind of a payback to the audience. And I'm sorry again; it was out of my control. We had a good show going. Bree was here. We had a great conversation, and literally in the mid sentence, poof, everything went off, and it was several hours. So, by the time I got back on, but if you don't know, I did finish up. Tux joined me and helped me finish up the second half. The show must go on, and he stepped in and helped out. So again, I appreciate Bree and Tux stepping in for trees, and I appreciate everybody in the audience, and I hope you appreciate the extra show today, and I hope that makes up for the interruption. And again, we hope that my neighbor's doing well. And I wanted to tell everybody and remind you once again, I still want to give away a shirt. Okay. Still giving away a shirt. So, what you have to do is you have to answer the question, what is the name of the Air Force base that Trees mentioned in last month's episode of the Grassman Chronicles? We were talking about the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. And during that story, Trees mentions the name of an Air Force base. If you know the name of the Air Force base, or if you want to go and watch the video, you've got till Sunday, almost a week from when the show was. So you still got almost most of the week still left, okay? To post your answer in the comments section for last month's episode, okay? So you go to last month's episode. If you know the answer or not, find the answer and put it in the comments on last month's episode, okay? And next week, we'll pick a winner from the correct answers, and I'll send you, you'll join the unique club of only 3 of these t-shirts in the world. Trees and I have one, and so will you. It'll be an exclusive club and be brand new, sent to you right from Amazon. All right. Sizes isn't a problem. If you want a different color, we'll see what we can do. But I want to give somebody a t-shirt. All right. So go to the comments section for last month's episode, get your answers put in, and one of you can win a t-shirt. Okay. And I wish you all the luck. And I see Bree in the chat. Hello, Bree. Thanks for stopping by. I was just thanking you for stepping in. I hope you heard it. And again, Trees too, or excuse me, Tux stepping in for Trees. Appreciate that too. And hopefully we'll get back on track. And next month we'll have our regular show. And my neighbor won't be playing electrician. Okay. So thanks for joining me, everybody. Have a great evening. I know it's prime time and everybody's going to be starting their shows. So I'm going to duck out so you all can go enjoy their shows. And remember to all hail Bigfoot. Take care, everybody.